Oh, I remember when life just, gets away from you and like a stream of piss in a babbling brook, it's just gone. Well, that is this podcast. Because, what was supposed to be a weekly event, I mean, I haven't done one in 5 months. Imagine that. Imagine a state of being where you make a commitment, you break the commitment very quickly. It's like a sham marriage. And here we are. Welcome to episode 4 of my solo podcast venture, full of it. Full of it, full of shit. I was just outside having a minty cigarette friendly, and I had a thought, and I thought to myself, this is something I need to discuss immediately. Get inside, get upstairs. Turn the laptop on. I've got a new laptop that I'm test driving right now with this. And if all goes to plan, I can literally just roll over, start recording, and it saves the whole video podcast situation super quick. So that'll be my impetus to get this more of a sort of, just be on more on the ball. I mean, for God's sake, what a prize asshole. My thought of the day, and I'd like your opinions on this, do hookers pay tax? I don't think they do. Well, the thing is, I was not aware of this. Nova and I watched a documentary fairly recently. I say that it was probably about 2 years ago. I watch it all the time, actually. It's about these two hookers that live in England. Okay, so I didn't realise this, but hooking in the United Kingdom is actually legal. I think it's legal in like 1 or 2 states in America. Generally speaking, I think it's, frowned upon, but it's illegal in parts. But in the UK, you can do that shit openly, I think. Well, not in the street. You've got to have certain sort of, parameters. It's not every day you get to say parameters. And I think, if you go about it, these girls go about it really smartly. They've got apps, she'll be like, yeah, do you want to come up, darling? Do you want to come up, darling? Do you want to do business first, darling? Do you want to do business first? We get business out of the way. So the dude will give her like a wad of cash. But does she declare that cash? I mean, probably not. What happens when the taxman comes calling? What does she do? Well, probably fuck him. No, I'm just kidding. God. You can't say that about people. Nice hookers, they're not all. But do they pay tax? If you're using a service such as that, the app, I mean, you are probably paying to use that. So you are paying a sort of a levy that, that company will be paying a tax. So maybe that's how it works. I don't know what the name of this app is. I'll have to ask Charmaine Diamond White. Also, on the topic of that, that nature, that sort of arena, how do we know that dolphins have sex for fun? How do we know? You don't ask them. Well, I think there are sort of people who claim that dolphins are the smartest of animals and that they do communicate. And can you communicate with a dolphin? I don't know, maybe. But how do you know that they're having sex for fun? Are they offering each other a massage? I suppose they are they releasing more endorphins? I went there, I did it. I said it. I do apologise. This will be more structured. I've got some topics to discuss. I've got some some really sort of gripping stuff. There'll be some creepy controversy shit going on later on. I just would like to know, first off, from you guys, do hookers pay tax, and how do we know that dolphins have sex for fun? That's Prime Minister's question time right there. That is it. Oh my God, Prime Minister's question time. Speaking of, Nova and I, she'll hate me for this, but she never listens to these podcasts. It doesn't matter. Nova and I were talking about, do you guys remember the Jade Goody Shilpa Shetty debacle? And I said, I'm sorry if you can hear me swallowing. There's a lot of swallowing going on. I've got an orange and mango beverage on the go. We were talking about it, and I said, oh my God, do you remember how big a deal that was? That Big Brother for a minute was on Prime Minister's question time. It really stirred up a hotbed of activity, with regards to India, United Kingdom relations. It was a huge deal. Nova said, really? Was it that big a deal? I said, yes, do you not remember? And Nova said, well, she's a huge star. She's a really big deal. I said, well, no, she's dead. She was referring to Shilpa Shetty. I thought that was so amusing at the time. I thought she meant Jade Goody. Jade Goody's got she did have perfumes. She's got fragrances out there. And I went on like the perfume shop or the fragrance shop, whatever, website. It's still there. This perfume is still there. It's only £5. They've probably got loads of it and they've got to get rid of it. But it's £5 a go, and it's called Controversy. It's the ugliest bottle. It looks like piss. It's got this ugly font on it. But I'd want to smell that. Wouldn't you want to know what Jade Goody smelled like? Fucking poppadoms smelled like. No, I'm just kidding. She said that once though. Poppadoms. Oh god, some of the things they said were dreadful. Right, so enough of this tomfoolery. I'm going to get my notes out. Here we go. I've got notes. I'd like to take a second to talk about someone who's very dear to me. Someone who I sort of stumbled across, and I think most, gentlemen in my position of my sort of, let's say, lifestyle, although mine is a little bit different. Most of us are aware of this bird. She's in our lives in some capacity. With me, it's slightly different. I'm talking about Joanna Lumley. She's one of the, greatest national treasures. British national treasure. She's up there. Helen Mirren, Kate Winslet, Joanna Lumley, these women, Julie Walters, Helen Mirren. I could go on. But I think most people would probably know Joanna Lumley from Absolutely Fabulous. It's a TV show. If you're not familiar, you have to get on it. It's the best. It's written by Jennifer Saunders. She's another one. And she plays, they just play drunkards. They play me and Nova. Well, me and Nova play them, I suppose you would say. She looks a bit like Charmaine Diamond White. Her character is about the same age as Shah. And that's probably how most, people, gay people anyway, I think, tap into Joanna Lumley. She's great anyway. She's a brilliant actress. I came across her really, and she really came into my life. It would have been about 2009. And I really appreciate Joanna Lumley for her travel series that she does. She's done so many. They're like 4-parters, sometimes 2-parters. She goes all over the world, and she'll do a series, like a television show, and she will travel the breadth of like one country or sometimes an entire continent. And she's just so effing charming. And I have seen all of them multiple times. I'm going to go through my favourite ones. And I'd love to know if anyone had seen any of these. I like to listen to them sometimes at bedtime. She's got a very recognisable voice. If you're from the US and you're not sure who Joanna Lumley is, well, Absolutely Fabulous is probably the only thing you know her from. I don't know. She was a Bond girl in the 60s. She did the AOL, you have email. Oh my god, it's such a great impression. I won't go on about it. My favourite of hers is Joanna Lumley's Nile. What the fuck was that sound? There's a rhinoceros in the kitchen. My favourite of hers is Joanna Lumley's Nile. She starts off in Egypt, as the Nile does. Well, that's where it ends, technically. It flows uphill. And she goes through, Ethiopia, Sudan, Rwanda, Uganda. Sudan was one country when she filmed this. I believe now it's 2. I think it's comprised of Sudan and South Sudan, which is a little bit of geographical knowledge for you there. It's now 2 countries. I think that might have happened sort of 5 or so years ago. I don't know. There's a lot of, conflict in Sudan. Well, not anymore. They just said, you know what, let's just split it down the middle, call it a day. Which is what Nova and I generally do for the bill for our KFC Deliveroo, to split it down the middle. I think that one is so gorgeous. The music is just exquisite in that one. And also Joanna Lumley's Northern Lights, which is where she goes to Scandinavia. Is it Norway? I think I'm going to say Norway. She goes really north. And she goes to see the Northern Lights, to try and chase the elusive Northern Lights. That's beautiful. And she's got such a charm. You just feel like she's right there. The other good ones of hers, she's done one called Joanna Lumley's Greek Odyssey, which she goes around Greece. That was kind of dry. That was a good one, but kind of dry because, Greece hasn't got much going for it. Which is funny, though. It's a little bit funny, this feeling inside. I don't know the rest of that song. Because Greece, as she would say about Greece in the beginning of the Greek Odyssey, has essentially given the world... Oh my God, you guys, let's talk about Greece. Do you know about Greece? It's a country. It's like 1,000,000 islands. What an annoying shape it is. But when you think about ancient Greece, what it gave the world architecture and medicine and, what else? I mean, Jesus... It literally was the centre of the world, and it gave everything is you could trace back to Greek to Greece. I'm going to go ahead and say Socrates or Homer. Who are these people? Plato, all Greek, probably not, but that's whatever. Now it's in the toilet. The economy's in the toilet. Well, that's because they spent the hundreds of years buying expensive plates and then smashing them for no reason. I mean, whatever. She did one called Joanna Lumley's Trans-Siberian Adventure, where she goes to Mongolia and Russia and stuff. That's a good one. She's currently... Oh, Japan as well. My God, the last one was when she went to Japan. That was gorgeous. Well, Japan's beautiful. There's one on right now, as of the recording of this podcast, where she's in India. Well, she was in India. I haven't seen any of those. I want to have them all be on TV, just done with, so I can binge watch them all in one go. I like to listen to them at bedtime. I used to listen to one of her... Well, she had a book. It was called No Room for Secrets, written and read by Joanna Lumley. Well, it was the shit. I came across this accidentally. I was trying to download a copy of Joanna Lumley's Nile. Stumbled across this, downloaded it accidentally, hadn't got a bloody clue what it was. It was an autobiography type book she wrote. I mean, it was, self-important as you like, but it's her, so you don't mind. It's literally her wandering around her house. She's going from room to room, and she's just talking about shit in her house. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's literally just like, I may have been in your home for many years, as a faded name in the background, or on a television set in the living room. But I've never invited you into mine. And then she'll be like, won't you come past the threshold and put your jacket on this rush-seated chair? Oh my God, rush-seated. A rush-seated chair. That's what that's from. What the fuck was I saying? Was it in a previous podcast? And I said something about a rush seating. I don't bloody remember. That's what that's from. I think Nova's moving something in the kitchen. What the hell is she doing? She's down there going through all the cupboards, doing her own No Room for Secrets. Well, anyway, my old laptop died a death. It died a death, and it's a Mac. All of the Wendigo solutions up until this point, if there's a Mac in it, it's that one. It's dead. It just sits there gathering dust. And when it died, it had my copy of No Room for Secrets on there. I can't get hold of it now. You can barely even buy it. It's so hard to find. If anyone can find me a copy of Joanna Lumley's No Room for Secrets audiobook, fuck, if you can find that for me, I will do you that naked dance in the field of wheat. As thanks. So I implore you, if you're not familiar with Joanna Lumley, to just get on it. She's an absolute peach. There's a YouTube clip I like to watch of her where she's reading poetry with this really creepy man in a room. That's a great one. She's great for, anxiety. Sometimes I'll have an attack of anxiety and I'll think, God, this is shit. Joanna Lumley soothes you right down. So, glad I got that off my chest. It's nice to have a new laptop, actually. I've just downloaded The Sims 3, and I'd like to take a second to discuss that, actually, because when I left for university, when was that? About 7 years ago, I left behind, well, my real family, of course, but I left behind the family that mattered, and that was my Sims family. And I have missed them dearly. Little known fact is my male equivalent name is not my biological name. I've got like 700 names attributed to my person. But I took my boy name from that Sims character. It's so stupid. It's so ridiculous. Anyway, so weirdly enough though, I was talking about this the other day. My Sims character married this one dude who I discovered today looks like Nova as a dude. That was creepy. That was a really fucking creepy realization that I ended up living with basically the same dude from The Sims. Anyway, well, we're not going to have kids, but so he was Dustin, Dustin. We had 3 kids, Carson, Trinity, and Avril. But that's, don't talk about it. When I left for university, I missed them, and I tried to put it on my then Mac, but it was so slow and shit, and had so much porn on it. No, I'm just kidding. It wouldn't run, but now I've got a new one. I downloaded it yesterday, finally, after trying to get it to work. My God, Macs are so hard to get programs to run on them, applications, if you will. But now I've found I've got the same house. I'm trying to make it look like it used to look. I've went and found Dustin. He's still there up the road. Bless him with that bitch Ileana. What a bitch. And I just move out of the way. She's too old for him anyway. He's young and nubile. She's old and she looks like Eastern European, not even the good kind of Eastern European. All sort of uppity bitch, Ileana. So I just said, Dustin, Bebs, listen, let's just get this show on the road. So, long story short, I'm trying to marry him again, but I can't. It won't work. If you're familiar with The Sims, this is The Sims 3. I didn't get The Sims 4 because I heard that was a pile of shit. I went back to The Sims 3. And I can't get him to marry me. I had to cheat to get him to move into the house because, yes, we're romantic interest. He's been a romantic interest now for like 3 days. And all the options, the social options, are stuck. It's the same thing. It's chat or compliment or kiss. There's no invite to move in. There's no marry. There's none of that shit. So, but weirdly enough, it keeps making me go on a date with him. I'll invite him round to the house, and suddenly, apparently it's a date. He came round the other day, and I went to work, and he was pissed off, and he was like, that was a crap date. I was like, we went on a date. We're in the living room eating horrifying mac and cheese. The things you have to go through. Life is so hard. But I've cheated to get him to move into the house. I don't want to cheat to get money or extra shit. I'm not about that life. I just need him to be mine. It's very Notes on a Scandal. So he's in the house. I'll let you know how it goes. I'm hoping he will just, bite the bullet and marry me. Put a fucking ring on it. Shit. Alright then. Well, that's my Sims 3 story. I don't know why there's not more. It took me so long to get this to work. I'm not the most technologically minded person, but I thought people love The Sims. Is that not still a thing? Are they doing a Sims 5? Do you give a shit? Who plays The Sims? Anyone? God, I don't know. I feel like I'm going to become really into this. I was so into The Sims last time when I did it. I remember I went on a date and we went to like this pub. He wasn't the best looking kid, but he was older than me. He was quite loaded, And I thought, yeah, I'll give this a go because I can always just, slip myself a $5. We went to this bar and I got really tipsy because I was, I used to get very drunk back then. Not that I don't do that now. But I remember I was talking about my family as if it was a fucking real family. I got so attached. Don't know when I'm going to find the time. When do people find time to go on, Instagram every 5 minutes? When do people find time to record themselves every single day? All right, we have a YouTube channel. We have a empire, not unlike that of the Kardashians. But it's just it's selfies all fucking day long. Social media is so lame. there's a very fine line between, you're putting shit out there for people to enjoy, and you're putting shit out there because you want someone to comment back saying, you look great. Oh, cheers. Now I feel better about myself for all of 5 minutes until I post something else. I don't know when people find time, or tweeting constantly. Takes me half an hour to get Twitter open and figure out how to use it. I mean, it's boring. What are people doing? Social media is just diarrhea. Oh, we got someone coming round. Hang on a second. When will this be online? I don't know if I should say. I'm going to try and get this online for... No, you know what? I'll do it. I'll put it online just before this dude comes round, and then he won't be able to listen to it, because he might listen to this. He's coming round for his birthday, on his birthday. It's a surprise party. Just a little gathering of surprise people. And surprise people. Nova's bought the birthday card. I said to Nova, listen, get an obnoxious amount of decorations, because it's someone's birthday. I like to go overboard. But she's gone out and bought this card. And I don't even remember what the card says. Something like, yes, what is worse than, or something like moist. What's moist in your pants? Something nice, warm and moist in your pants. Oh, yeah, what's that? And then you open the card and it says diarrhea. I literally went into the kitchen where all the shit was laid out on the table. She's got this big foil centerpiece thing. It's so obnoxious. It's the cutest. There's bunting and balloons and there's so much shit. And I got to the card and I was like, oh, yeah, which one has she picked? And I just went, oh, fuck. Yes, as Nova pointed out, this is a straight male. I just burped. Would he appreciate that card? Probably. I can picture his girlfriend's face just like, oh, for fuck's sake. We were having a lovely time and you ruined it with runny poo. Well, that's Nova for you. That's Nova Genis. Well done. I don't even know what to say. Well, hopefully he'll like it. Just had a conversation with his girlfriend regarding his shoe size. I've purchased some burger slippers for him. They're slippers shaped like burgers. Is that a great present? Is it a terrible present? I'll let him decide. It's a terrible present. But, at least his feet will be warm. So, okay, what should we move on to now? Alright, so, couple of things. I've just watched a documentary. Watched it yesterday. Shall I make this the creepy documentary conspiracy moment? I'll start that now. Okay. Well, a couple of things. So, the one I watched yesterday... Actually, hang on. I'm just going to have a sip of my orange mango friendly. Hang on a second. Here we go. Oh, shit on the glass. I'll drink it anyway. Tesco orange and mango squash is delicious. I'm going to put that out there. The documentary was on YouTube. I believe once upon a time it was on Netflix. I don't know if it's on there now or which region of Netflix it's on. It's called There's Something Wrong with Aunt Diane. It's a documentary. It's real shit. This happened. It happened, maybe 7 or 8 years ago. I can't remember. Involving a woman, an American woman, who by all accounts was regular, family-oriented, hard-working, all-American suburban mom type chick, who one day, for absolutely no reason, and is kind of just given a great big question mark regarding this, got into a minivan with, I think, her daughters and her nieces. I think there may have been 5 of them in total in this minivan. And at some point, well, this is the thing that no one really gets. She basically got into this van with all her family, ended up driving like a fucking asshole, went the wrong way down a freeway at 70 miles an hour, crashed straight into another car, killed everyone in the minivan, and also killed the oncoming vehicle. Apparently, it was a journey that was supposed to take 30 minutes, and it ended up taking 4 hours. The kids in the car phoning family members saying the aunt is driving weirdly and shouting, complaining of a headache. Anyway, she was supposed to, well, she was captured on CCTV before, stopping for gas, going into a 7-Eleven, what have you. And she seemed fine, she seemed regular. I think they went to a McDonald's and the clerk person was like, yep, I remember her, she was fine, nothing out of the ordinary. But when they did a toxicology report on this bird, Diane Schuler, she's called, you can look her up. She had a blood alcohol percentage of like 0.18 or something, or I don't know, way over the legal limit to drive, and also had crazy amount of is it THC? What is that? Marijuana she'd been smoking, basically. And people were like, when did she have time to down 10 drinks, having gone from a family occasion event, going straight into a minivan and going? And when did she have time to down such an obscene amount of alcohol, smoke all these joints? When did she have the time to do that? Why did she do that? And why did no one see any weird behaviour in her until she got into the car? Apparently she was a very loving, sort of motherly figure. She was all about family. So why this all of a sudden happened to her, I don't know. The family are like, no, there's something wrong with the toxicology reports. There was obviously something medically happening with her. Now, I don't know what medical, marvel can go down whereby you have so much booze and smokes in you without actually taking them in yourself. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. But it's fascinating to me that people are obviously of the opinion, all right, she was an alcoholic. Clearly, she just drank a load of booze. She had to have done. There's no arguing with that. I don't know why the family are in such denial. The funny thing is that they asked people, they were like, well, did she even smoke weed? And they were like, well, yes, occasionally, of an evening. Kids were in bed, all the chores were done. She might have one to relax her, to go to sleep. Fair enough. I don't think anyone's judging her for doing that. Did she drink alcohol? I think, again, they had some vodka in their family camper van or something, but it wasn't something she did regularly. So, why randomly one morning with all these family around in a car are you going to get really jacked and buzzed and then suddenly drive down a freeway in the wrong direction? It's very bizarre. So I don't know why the family are in denial, because you can as the family be like, yeah, okay, that's fine. She was drinking. But that's not the bit that I'm concerned about. It's when did she have the time to do it? Why did no one see her? Why are there no evidence of bottles or cans or anything? Where was the weed? The whole thing is a big question mark. I don't know. The family are in denial. I just find it bizarre. You see these pictures of this woman and she just looks, by all accounts, like, a regular bird. I guess she's not unlike the woman who also... Do you remember the woman who was... I think she was a school teacher, super regular, loving mother, went to work and she left her baby in a car. Do you remember that one? And the baby died. That was fucked up. She was on Oprah. I miss Oprah. She is the mother I never had. She is the sister everybody would want. She is the friend that everybody deserves. I don't know a better person. I don't know a better person. Why is that making you cry? That was my Barbara Walters. Yeah, so I don't know about that one. It's a strange documentary. Funnily enough, I did start watching it months ago. Didn't manage to finish it because some shit got in the way. And this time round, I think about 10 minutes left or something. But I think it's just basically the family trying to piece together something they're never going to figure out. It's not a good one. There was another one as well that This one, again, to do with booze. This is a different story, but again, it's in a similar vein. It's also as fucked up. This one, actually, I find very creepy. And I have a theory about this, but I don't know. I think maybe it's a common theory. I don't know. But this one is about a chick. Well, this was a sort of, one of the, it wasn't a documentary per se. This was more of one of those, like, Lifetime. No, not a Lifetime. What am I talking about? Sort of a there'll be like a series of, slapped together episodes of this show where they'll talk about missing persons or real crime, like a real crime type show. But I watched one about a girl called Maura Murray. I think it's Maura. Mara? I don't know how they would say it. It's basically Laura with an M. It's a peculiar name, Maura. Anyway, this one's fascinating. Okay, let's get into this one. So, this happened a bit before. I think this was about 2004. So, I don't know how good my maths is. What would that have made me? About 3? This was about a girl, all-American girl again. High achiever. She was a college student. She was athletic. She was well-liked. She was, talking about getting married to her sweetheart sort of deal. Everyone loved her. And she was sort of a pillar of she was probably like, head of some sort of club. You know what I mean? That sort. Very that. And one day, Maura told her college tutors that she was going away for a week and she'd be missing classes because of a death in the family, which would seem fairly plausible. She left. She went missing. Well, missing because her family were like, where the hell is she? And the college was like, well, she's gone to deal with a death in the family. And the family were like, there's not been a death in the family. All right, red flag. They all start looking for her. They find her car in a nearby town. The nearby town being somewhere that she was familiar with, I believe. Used to go there as a child with her father or something like that. Familiar with the town. But the weird thing is, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is right, they found her car abandoned. The car had a very large quantity of alcohol in it, and I believe she didn't really drink. We're led to believe she wasn't much of a drinker, so that's weird. There were large quantities of alcohol in the car, and the type of alcohol, it was ingredients to make a White Russian, which is, I don't know what a White Russian is. It's vodka. Is it like vodka and rum and some sort of creamy shit? I don't know. That was in the car. I think someone said that they had seen her crash the vehicle and they asked her if she needed help and she ran off into the woods, etc., etc. Anyway, that's it. She's gone. She left. The family looked for her and, fast forward, 15 years? That's terrible maths. 13 years and I'm here talking about her now. No one knows where she went. The boyfriend claims to have received a phone call the day after she, was it the day after they found her car or within that sort of time frame? And there was a weird, like, whimpering sound on the phone that he swears was her. I think he was the most plausible sort of thing. Well, and the friend said as well that once, when they were younger, and they had to go to school or they were due somewhere, she decided that day, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get on a train. I don't know, go to Montauk. Where the hell is that? Canada? I don't know. Go somewhere and just spend a day out, on my own. Be impulsive. I'm young and I'm free. Do what I please. So she went. And people were like, where the hell is she? And she came back at the end of the day and she was like, yeah, just felt like going off. I'm sure she got a severe ticking off. Her family were just like, what are you doing? Where the fuck were you? We were looking for you. So it's maybe within her nature, or was in her nature, I don't know, maybe she's still alive, who knows, that she would impulsively just go someplace on her own just one day. I think the most plausible idea was that she was she was supposed to be engaged to this dude who maybe was a bit of a, not a blowhard. What is a blowhard? Blowfish? Blowhole? I don't know. She maybe was seeing someone else. She thought that this guy was kind of dry, and she was setting herself up for sort of an American Beauty ending where it's all boring and suburbsy. So she thought, yes, I'm gonna go with this dude, and that would explain the cocktail, perhaps, if this guy that is on the side maybe was a drinker, and she was like, oh yeah, let's go and have like a big drinksy motel fuckfest. I don't know. I think she possibly went with a view to spending some time with this guy, or I don't know. Well, but that would not accommodate for going away for a week. Well, no, because if she went away for a week and still kept in contact with the family, then the family would never have any reason to go to the campus and be like, where's Maura? And they were like, death in the family. That's how they would never find out. So maybe that is plausible. She would go, she would have a week away with this dude, but then how would she explain that to the boyfriend where she was? Maybe it was only a few classes she planned on missing, not the whole week. Should have read about this first. But the point is, she vanished into thin air. I think it's possible that she was going to meet this dude. She crashed, and she maybe was a bit startled, ran off, and from there it gets a bit hazy. I think the father managed to track her sort of steps to a certain point, and that's where it gets cut off. And maybe someone picked her up. Maybe she went to hitchhike. Someone unfortunate picked her up. Boom, wrong place, wrong time, and who knows after that. It's sad. She was a beautiful girl. She is. I don't know. Can you speak about these people in the past tense? That seems a bit mean, but 13 years. I don't know. Should we talk about Madeleine Mccann? That would get into a weird area. It's really bizarre. I find missing people fascinating beyond anything else. I think, I don't know, 2004, I think in this day and age, right here, right now, I mean, I am just speaking into a big old piece of metal. It's recording me. I'm going to put that into the world. Somewhere, someone in California is going to listen to this. The world we live in is fucking ridiculous. Social media as it is, there's cameras all over the goddamn place. How can someone go missing? How can someone vanish into thin air? How can that happen? I get, it could have happened years ago. Now, today, where do they go? There was a case. I mean, this one, to me, seems pretty black and white when you weigh it all up. But the case of, she was called Rebecca Corium. She was a Disney cruise liner, ocean liner, I don't know if they call those cast members. I know that the Disney, people that work in Disney theme parks are referred to as cast members. Would they refer to the ship people as that as well? I don't know. Ship, that was, not shit. She was a woman who worked on an ocean liner, one of the Disney ones. I don't know. But she went, there's CCTV footage of her going into like the lobby or whatever you have of the ship, receiving a phone call, looking absolutely distraught, and they never saw her again. No one has any idea. That was another burp. I'm so sorry. It's not classy. You must have heard that. Oh, what is happening? That was that Barocca. I'm buzzing off my tits on Barocca. She vanished. So she receives this phone call, distressed phone call, and no one knows who called her, what it was regarding. I yawned. You heard me. If I'm going to be honest, Puffins, I've been trying to hold that yawn in for about 15 minutes because I thought it would be super rude. It's nearly bedtime. So sorry. Won't you come to bed with me? That was a song. Do you remember that one? Would you go to bed with me? No, it doesn't let me sing, so I'm going to sing now, which is in the room. I think the case of Rebecca Corium is, well, the big question is, what is she? I'm going to move my phone away because it's vibrating. I think it's going to bloody set people off. It's going to make a bloody noise. Yeah, the question is regarding her. What was the phone call about? What was the deal? I think it was probably something along the lines of maybe a boyfriend broke up with her over the phone. I think people attribute a lot of more mystery around this than there probably is. I think it's probably just really fucking sad. I think she, was probably... I mean, I don't think anyone reported a death or anything, so it probably was someone maybe breaking up with her over the phone. That's a shitty thing to do. I can imagine you'd feel pretty horrific if someone did that to you. I reckon she probably went out to the stern of the ship where she was last seen, and she jumped overboard. If you are on an ocean liner, they search the entire... I mean, an ocean liner is a finite amount of space. It's not the desert, which I suppose technically is also a finite amount of space. But you're going to search the shit out of that boat. You can't find her. She's not there. She's gone. She is a goner. I think that one's pretty black and white. That one's sad. But I'm telling you guys, missing people, fascinating. Where are they? Where the fuck are they? The Madeleine Mccann situation, I don't find particularly fascinating or interesting, really. I think it's more frustrating that they just fucking left her. Listen, I don't like children. I don't like them. I don't want to have them. I don't want to be around them. I don't want to talk to them. But I probably, if I had one, would not leave them on their own in a foreign country in a room that had an open window. It just seems so daft. I don't know. Listen, hindsight is 20/20. Is that the saying? I don't know sayings. What should they do at this point? Bitch, stop looking. You have got your life to live. You have got your other kids. Did they have one other kid or two other kids? I can't remember. I think there were 3 kids in total. So you got 2 good ones left. Call a fucking spade a spade. Stop killing yourself over it. Move on. You made a shitty mistake. Someone kidnapped her. Well, this is the thing. Sold her off into sex slavery. Well, I mean, how old was she? I think Madeleine Mccann was about... I'm so shit with kids' ages. 5, maybe? When she was taken? Which would mean now she would be, 13? I don't know. She's very fucking young. Alright, either sold off to someone to use as a child, sold off for, sex purposes, or she was killed. And at this point, are you going to find her? Probably not. Okay, they found, what's her name? Elizabeth Smart. Yes, that was pretty ridiculous. But that wasn't, 7 or 8 years later, was it? It might have been 3 or 4. I don't know. Can't remember the case of Elizabeth Smart. But I think at this point, yeah, it's just annoying. And you see them all over the place. I think they need to just really sort of focus on what they have and, just try and put her to rest because she's prob's not there anymore. Something's flashed up. That was a sad thing to say. She's prob's not there. I don't know. Oh, people get angry about that, though, at this point. I imagine if you're in America listening to this, which according to our analytics, I don't know. Most of our viewers are in the States. I don't know if you guys are aware of Madeleine Mccann. I would be surprised. Would I be surprised if you were unaware? I don't know. But at this point, she was a young girl, very young, who was on holiday in Portugal with her family. And the parents went for tapas because they were white, middle-aged British people. They fucking love tapas. And they left the kids in a room in a hotel on their own, and she got snatched, and they have been on the front cover of newspapers. You pretty much can't go a week without seeing them. For the past, I'm going to say about 8 years. You see them all over the fucking place. And obviously they're going to look for it. Of course they are. Of fucking course they are. But at this point, really? I think you would just call a spade a spade. What about those poor fucks? And that little boy went missing on holiday. There was a very similar one that happened in the 90s. Kevin something, I want to say. You know, okay, I get it. You want to know what happened so you can lay the person to rest. But the resources and the money and everything that goes along with it, you know, call me cynical, but I think at this point you need to just call it a day. It's very sad. You can't even begin to think about how horrendous their lives must be, but really, let's just put a pin in that. What was that other one? Oh my god, okay, but do you want to hear one that is really sad? It's not even that... Well, I guess it must have been just as mysterious as all the rest at the time, when it happened. But now it's just tragic. Okay, so this was an episode of a show about missing people in the UK, and it was about a family, a young family. It was a mother. The kids must have been, you know, about 3 and 4, very young kids. And the mother, I think, went to live with her parents, or at least in this, you know, episode, the grandparents were present because the dad had disappeared. And I think the mother was sort of in denial, and she didn't know where he was, and she thought maybe he needed help or he'd been kidnapped. And the grandparents, you know, when the mother was off screen, was sort of like, well, he clearly couldn't handle the pressures of being, you know, in a relationship and then being a father, and he's abandoned the family. Let's just call a spade a spade. He's abandoned them and he's gone. And we're actually, you know, she might be upset and distraught. I'm just angry. The grandparents were pissed and angry. They were like, how could you do that to us? That was the storyline. But it was, nothing ever happened. You know, they never found him. It was a big mystery, and the show ended, and that was that. And I remember thinking about this episode of this TV show about 3 or 4 years after I watched it, and I thought, oh my god, I wonder what ever happened. So I looked it up, and it turns out the dad, and this is so sad because he went missing after a night out, on a stag do. He went on a buck's turn with his friends, and it turns out that he stumbled home drunk, tried to go down a sort of stretch of motorway where I don't believe you're supposed to walk, fell down the side of this sort of bridge, hit his head into a gutter, unconscious, and just died there in this gutter and in this sort of like ditch, like next to this motorway where people don't walk, so no one would ever go and see him lying there. And he was there for years before someone found him. I mean, how sad is that? That these people were just thinking the worst. Oh, he's left the family and all this stuff. And it was as simple as he drunkenly fell down and hit his head. Bodies are so fragile. That's a really sad one. I've turned the podcast into a sad shitter. I'm sorry. I'm not sure the name of that dude or anything about that scenario, but I'm sure you could Google it. Maybe I should just move on. What was the other thing I wanted to talk about? Another documentary I watched. Let's make it a bit more light-hearted. This has just turned into a big documentary session, but I feel like with feedback I've got, people really enjoy me talking about the creepy shit, so I'll do some more of that. But this one is not as creepy as it is. It was very uplifting. It's a documentary on Netflix, well, certainly on Netflix UK, and I believe it's on there right now. And that is, and I'm really sorry if you can hear the sort of gargles in my throat. I don't have an answer for you what's happening. Maybe it was the all butter chicken Kiev I had earlier on. It was left on the bone. It was a really fancy one, like Kievs are meant to be left on the bone, like real ones, not those shit ones. Anyway, this is one called Twinsters. So the documentary is called Twinsters. It is about a Korean. Is she Korean? I can't remember. Girl who lives in California, something of an upcoming actress, and whilst she is, going about her daily business, she is sent a picture, a video on Instagram of a French girl who says, "I look exactly like you." Like, it's not even funny. I look exactly like you. They start talking. They decide that they need to, investigate their lives. It turns out that they are both adopted, etc., etc. Anyway, it turns out they end up being identical twin sisters. That's not a spoiler. You know that they're twins before you get into it. It's the whole point of a documentary. But it's so beautiful. They find each other. Their lives merge, that they were both adopted. They end up with these loving families, and then later on in life, they end up with other families. Like, so it's one just big, giant family fuckfest. There, I said it. Got it in there. I always feel like, if you've seen this, though, and I got this feeling throughout, let me know if you felt the same. The twins are called Sam and Anais, and I always got the feeling that Sam was way more into it than Anais. Sam was super into it, like it got a bit incestuous. Nah, it didn't really. But I always felt like Anais was like, oh yeah, I don't know. That was my French. But that's one that's worth watching. Paris is Burning is on Netflix now as well. Which obviously, Paris is Burning. If you're going to just throw something on in the background, throw it on. You'll realise that RuPaul lifted absolutely fucking everything out of that documentary for Drag Race. Nah, I'm just kidding. That's a great one. I think about... You can hear fireworks outside. That's nice. I think about all the time, at least once a week, this person will come into my mind. I think about her for several reasons. I think about her because she was such a... I mean, this is based on her very small part in Paris is Burning, and it's based on the fact that she's not in it that much, but what she gives is so enormous. Her view on the world, the way she lives, the way she presents herself, and then ultimately how tragic her story was. It just is so powerful. Everything about it is so... There's such a monumental sort of gravitas to this person. I'm talking about Venus Extravaganza. If you've seen Paris is Burning, you'll know Venus. If you've not, I'll fill you in. Obviously, during the 90s, the sort of Harlem drag balls were a big deal. It was very underground. It was, a big moment in queer history. They still do drag balls, but this was really when it was exploding, and people would show up and they'd walk in categories. That's where RuPaul gets their category is Butch Queen, first time in drags at a ball situation. They'll walk in different categories. You might be the most real schoolboy or whatever they would, I don't know, whatever the fuck. There were hundreds of them. Executive realness. But Venus was a part of the House of Extravaganza, which was headed by Angie Extravaganza at the time. I don't know if she founded it. I don't think she founded it, but she was certainly the mother of the house in the documentary. She was Venus's ride or die, I believe, at the time. Venus was very young, trans, pre-operative, wanted to undergo the full charade. That's not a very nice word, I apologise. But she wanted to, she lived as a woman. She was very femme. She used to do all of these, do all the balls. and she would snatch trophies. And I think she said at one point that you'd usually have to walk in a ball, and if you would get a trophy, you could be inducted into the House of Extravaganza. But she just managed to slide away in because she was so great. People loved her. And, she was clearly a talent. Just a woman, just looking at her, she was just a chick. And she famously came up with, are you undergoing the change of life? What did she say? The change of life? And then she said, you are an undergrown orangutan. I don't remember who said the undergrown orangutan in Drag Race. It was in season 2. Someone brought it up. It comes up all the time. Are you undergoing, is it a psychological change in your life? It's a super famous line. Can't fucking remember it because I'm a piece of shit. But one of the things that sticks out about Venus is the quote, is the moment where she's asked about, sex work, or she would see gentlemen, gentlemen callers here or there. She didn't want to go into it, but she said, and I'm paraphrasing, obviously, I might have to, a woman might, let's say a suburban married woman, if she wants a washer-dryer set, she would have to go to bed with her husband to get what she wants so that he would get what he wants. So in the grand scheme of things, it all works out the same way. A hooker, essentially, is what she's saying. It's all the same thing, but people don't see it that way. It was so profound, I thought. She was so smart. And the real sad thing about it is she lives so freely, and Angie says this about her. Angie says, I said, Miss Venus, one day you're going to, walk down the wrong road because you're so free and you do everything you want to do, which is so inspiring. But ultimately, the sad thing is she was killed. She was murdered by a guy who presumably found out that she was trans and wasn't happy about it. She was found stuffed in a mattress in a hotel room. And it's just so awful. I mean, most of the people out of that documentary have died, and, as horrifying as that is, she, I think, was the only one that was murdered, and it's just somehow to happen to her, of all people. Obviously, no one ever wants to get murdered, but to her, I think about how it was just such a light that was extinguished with Venus. It's very sad. I think about her all the time, actually. And, what a downer. What a fucking downer. You are a fucking downer, lady. God, this documentary, this podcast is a piece of shit. Oh my God. Nah, it's been great. It's been great. But if you've not seen Paris is Burning, I think you are doing yourself a disservice. You have to get on Netflix now. Watch Paris is Burning. Just do yourself a favour. Watch all their stories. There's some great stories. There's some real characters in that. There really are. But Venus is my favourite. I love her. So I'd like to know, please, if you've seen that. If you've not seen it and you're going to watch it, let me know what you think about Venus's story. Please let me know if you're watching Novympia's Asshole Race. We're on episode 2. No, 3 will be the next one. And also the thing I said at the beginning about hookers. And see how I start the show about hookers and I end the show about hookers. That's what we do here. It comes full circle. I'd like to know about that. And the thing about dolphins. So this has been great. Thank you so much for listening to Full of Shit. I'll do a few more of these. I want to try and get these a bit rolling now. I know I said that last time, but fuck that. Alright, great. Thanks for coming, Puffins. Bye then.